Bit of an unusual video today. One of the things I enjoy about collecting Elvis's American LPs is the inner sleeves, particularly the Elvis discography inner sleeves, showing all the other great stuff that was available at the time. And these inner sleeves actually show just how long Elvis's releases stayed on catalogue. Many of them were available year after year after year. There are over 24 Elvis-only design inner sleeves. Over the years, I've managed to collect most of them, not because I was consciously trying to do so, but just because I've got so many American albums that most of them are there just, through buying the records. So I'm going to take you through the ones I have today and also show you a few of the generic RCA inner sleeves, which tended to appear at the beginning of his career. This is the first generic one I have, the New Sound America Loves Best. All these inner sleeves have a number on them, by the way, so I'll think on and put those numbers on the screen. That inner sleeve came with this copy of Elvis's Golden Records from 1958. And these inner sleeves were used for a few years, so they each appeared with several different albums. For instance, this next one here, The World's Greatest Artists Are on RCA Victor. I have 3 different records with this inner sleeve. And just like the first one, there's no particular mention of Elvis on here. That one came with this copy of the Christmas album. And the next generic one I have is from around about 1968 or 69. There are no Elvis releases on this particular inner sleeve. This one came with this orange label copy of Golden Records Volume 3. This is the first release of the orange label version. In the late 1950s, well, 59, 1960, there were a series of, I think, 4 inner sleeves that looked very similar to this one here with the word listen at the top there. And each of them had one Elvis record on display. And in this case, it's here, Gold Records Volume 2. That inner sleeve came with this mono copy of Elvis is Back. The first Elvis only inner sleeve was this one here, highlighting Elvis is Back at the top. Most of his other LPs are at the bottom there, and on the back you can see the EP releases at the top. And this one set the standard for the 1960s with the LPs on one side and EPs on the other. There's no number on that one, by the way. And that one came with this mono copy of GI Blues. This next one also doesn't have a number. This one appeared a couple of years later. The latest release on this one is at the bottom here. The newest release tended to be somewhere visible, either at the top or at the bottom in a corner somewhere. It happened at the World's Fair, so this one is from about 1963. Once again, you've got the EPs on the back and also with a list of singles as well. That one came with this mono copy of Golden Records Volume 3. Then we had the first of 4 similar looking inner sleeves. This one here has Kissing Cousins in the top right corner. And that one came with this mono copy of Roustabout. Just slightly different to that one. The next one looked like that. Still with Kissing Cousins up here, but next to it you can see there's Roustabout. And over here, there's the Christmas album in that corner. I think the back is just the same. And that one I got with this mono copy of Paradise Hawaiian Style. And then they switched the color to blue a couple of years later. The latest one on here is Spin Out. And this one in actual fact does not have EPs on the back. It has Elvis's Stereo 8 catalogue, or 8-track tapes, including some twin packs down here that I've never seen in my life. That one came with this later copy of GI Blues. It's still a black label pressing. And the last one in that series, the last one of the 60s I believe, is this one here, Back to Red, And the latest title on here is Clambake. Once again, this has the LPs plus a few 8 tracks down the bottom. And this one came with Gold Records Volume 4. By the 1970s, Elvis's LP catalogue was so big that they needed one inner sleeve to cover all of them. So in the 70s, there were actually 4 different types of inner sleeves. So let's have a look at those. The first one is the LP catalogue, Elvis's Great LP catalogue. This was one of the earliest ones from the 1970s. And the latest release on here appears to be down here, Love Letters from 1971. And that particular inner sleeve came with this copy of His Hand in Mine. Very similar to that one is this one here. Just slightly later on this one, you can see it goes up to Madison Square Garden down here. That one came with Potluck, an early 70s copy of Potluck. There were another couple of inner sleeves fairly similar to that one, but we jump forward to 1976. This one is probably very familiar to many of you. And the latest release on here appears to be from Elvis Presley Boulevard, although I'm not sure when exactly the Sun Sessions was released in America. Certainly 1976, this one. And that one came with this copy of King Creole. And the last of the Elvis LP catalogue inner sleeves was this one here, which goes all the way up to Moody Blue. This was the first one that I was aware of back in the late 70s, early 80s. I had a couple of American albums which I purchased in England, which came with this inner sleeve. And in this case, that one came with this reissue of Fun in Acapulco. So as well as the LP catalogue, there was also an 8-track tape in a sleeve. The first one I have is here. The early albums on one side, and the latest release appears to be this one here, Worldwide 50 Gold Award Hits. That one came with this early 70s copy of Golden Records Volume 3. This one is very similar to the one we just looked at. Again, stereo 8-tape catalogue, but it goes all the way up to Madison Square Garden. That one came with this copy of Having Fun with Elvis on Stage on the Boxcar label. And here's another 8-tape, stereo 8-track tape in a sleeve. Very similar to the previous one, except this one goes up to Separate Ways. And this one is also with Having Fun on Stage with Elvis, and another Boxcar copy. We also had inner sleeves promoting Elvis's cassette tapes. And here's the earliest one that I have. So the latest one on here is Gold Award Hits Volume 1. And that one came with this copy of That's the Way It Is. Another cassette tape catalogue in a sleeve. And this one goes up to Love Letters. That one came with this copy of Madison Square Garden. And here's another tape catalogue in a sleeve. This one goes up to Madison Square Garden itself. And that one came with, would you believe it, another copy of Having Fun with Elvis on Stage. This one is actually on RCA. And there was one more type of inner sleeve in the 70s, and that was one which had Elvis's real tapes on one side and the Camden catalogue on the other. This is the first one, when there were just 4 Camden titles in the catalogue and a few real tapes on the other side. This one came with this early 70s copy of GI Blues. Then the Camden catalogue expanded, so we got this one here with the 6 titles, the latest one being Come On Everybody, and a few more reel tapes on the back. That one came with this early 70s copy of Elvis's Back. And the last one I have to show you is another Camden reel tapes in a sleeve. This one now has 8 titles going all the way up to Elvis Sings Hits from His Movies, and a few reel tapes there on the back. That one came with this early 70s copy of A Girl Happy. So there you go. That's about 2/3 of the Elvis inner sleeves that were ever released. If you want to see more of these, just go to the elvisrecords.com website, which is a website I use to get information on Elvis's US discography. A very good website, elvisrecords.com. You can see the 7 or 8 or so which I don't have on that website. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Take care. Cheers.